Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending with Zyxel. Sean Rogers, and he's their sales operations and product development manager, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please remember to submit them in the question box, and Sean will be able to answer them at the end of today's presentation. Sean, thank you so much for being with Microcom today. We're very much looking forward to your. So I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
All right, well, good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I did a presentation when we first signed up with Microcom. I think it was back in August, and the product wasn't yet loaded up in Microcom yet. So the product is there now, ready to order. And I thought I'd give you a little bit more of a concise focus on our Nebula product line. First, before we get to that, I do have one slide on who Zyxel is, because a lot of people aren't familiar with us and how long we've been around doing this. So at Zyxel, we are a global company. Our US offices are located in California, in the Southern California, in the Anaheim area. And then our global headquarters is based out of Hsinchu, Taiwan. So we are not a Chinese company, we are a Taiwanese company. Many of our products are manufactured in Taiwan and are TAA compliant. And we've been doing this for over 35 years, both globally and here in the US. So we have been doing it a long time. We don't have quite the name recognition in the US as we do in other countries. And part of that's because in the US, our focus has largely been on the ISP space, selling CPE to large tier 1, tier 2 ISPs. But we have been doing what I'm going to call channel products or business networking, small business networking for most of those 35 years as well. It just wasn't a focus here in North America. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started talking about Nebula. So what is Nebula? Nebula was the first full stack cloud solution for managing SMB products. So we launched Nebula all the way back in 2016. Next year will be our 10-year anniversary. So we were the first, we beat out pretty much everyone else as far as offering a full stack cloud solution. So what does that mean? Full stack meaning it was more than just one type of product. Back when we got started, most companies that were offering a cloud-based solution were just focused on AP management, where we're doing AP switches, security firewall gateways, regular gateways, even some outdoor LTE products, and soon point-to-multipoint WISP systems, all through a single pane of glass, a single interface that you would use. At that time, the only other sort of full stack offering out there was Cisco's Meraki. In fact, Cisco had only recently purchased Meraki at that point. And they were really our inspiration for this. We saw what Cisco Meraki was doing, and we say, hey, there's a lot of benefits to that. The SMB space would love something like that, but Cisco Meraki was just expensive. Not only was the hardware expensive, the licenses were expensive too. So that's what motivated us to do that, and we launched it to the public in 2016, and we've been constantly focused on improving it and expanding it ever since. So the idea of using cloud management instead of traditional management is the idea that, all of this stuff that goes into setting up, configuring, monitoring, and maintaining a network that you have to do, that by using the cloud and giving you a central point of interface, we dramatically reduce what you need to buy and how much time you spend setting it up and getting it working. And so because of that, you're saving yourself money up front, you're saving yourself time when it comes to setting up that network, monitoring that network, staying on top of things for your customers, which then saves you, since it's saving you time, it's also saving you even more money that way. So let's start talking about Nebula and some of the things that it offers for you. So one of the cool things we can do here is you can start setting up and configuring your devices without unboxing them. At any point, you can log into the Nebula interface. You can go in there and set up your customer, start setting up their sites, and you can do a lot of generic configurations, such as configuring SSIDs, wireless security, things like that. You can set those all up before you've even bought the hardware itself. Once you do get the hardware, most of the products have a QR code on the outside of the box. If not on the outside of the box, on the belly label of the product. You simply scan that with our mobile app, assign the device to a customer and to a site, and you can do the full configuration at that point. At no time do you need to go into the device itself, configure anything directly on the device itself, You don't need to put it into cloud mode. You don't need to point it somewhere for management. So it saves you a lot of effort on site because you don't have to do any on-site configuration. You don't have to take the units out of the box before they go on site and pre-configure them. You simply plug in the hardware. It sees you want to manage it in the cloud. It puts itself in cloud mode, updates its firmware, downloads the configuration that you've set for it. So that means the guy that's located there on site simply has to plug it in and make sure it can turn on. So we do have a mobile app for you to use. Now, the mobile app is not where we're doing most of the configuration. This is a full-fledged network management platform, and there's just too much configuration that really needs to be done properly in a web browser. But we do have the mobile app there for you to keep an eye on your customers' networks, so you can monitor them. There is some basic configuration options that are available through that. But this is also going to be the tool that your installers use. You use this to scan those QR codes, and when you're on site, you can use our mobile app here to take a photo of where you've installed that hardware. You can drag and drop the hardware onto a map. So that way, if in the future someone has to go on site, it makes it easier to find where that device was set up. Whoops. I am so sorry here. I am having problems with my presentation. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I misclicked on some things, and for some reason my screen is turning bright blue and doing all sorts of weird stuff. Again, I do apologize for that. And when you are setting up Nebula, setting up your network in Nebula, we have a number of tools there that are designed to streamline the process. So you can clone existing sites that you've set up before and reuse a lot of those default settings. We've got wizards that'll automatically configure certain things to get at least the basics up and running before you do the customization. So with Nebula, all management is done through a single place. You just go to nebula.zyxel.com, you log in with your Zyxel account, and all of your customers, all of their sites are right there for you. So anywhere you've got access to an internet connection and a web browser, you have access to your customers and to their networks. So Nebula was always built from the ground up with the idea that this is primarily a solution that MSPs are going to want. So we've heavily focused on making it easy to manage lots of different customers, to make it easy to manage lots of different sites, and to offer tools to make it easier for you to manage a lot of different admin users, which is great for those of you that are big, but it also works great for those of you that are smaller operations, maybe not offering full MSP type services. And in fact, I believe at this point, the majority of people even setting up just a single access point are using Nebula as being their primary way of configuring that device. So with Nebula, you don't need remote access to the site itself, so there's no setting up port forwards or needing to set up VPNs for remote access. All configurations, all updates are done through the cloud. Again, you just log into nebula.zyxel.com, you make the configuration changes you want, it automatically pushes those out. Same thing with firmware updates. Firmware updates, you can schedule those in Nebula and it'll automatically take care of that for you. So there should be no need for you to go on site. For those of you doing like advanced configuration on the security products, we also have the ability through the Nebula interface to tunnel into the command line interface of the device itself. So some of the cool things we offer here on the security side of things is the ability to make it really easy to set up and handle VPNs. We have the ability to just simply go in, choose the sites you want to connect together, choose the topology, and basically everything else is just a button push after that. We handle everything else that needs to be done to get that up and working. When it comes to remote users, same sort of thing there. We can send out scripts that automatically configure Windows, Mac OS, and iOS devices to use the built-in VPN client for remote access. We also have the ability to take one of our access points and turn it into a cloud-managed VPN appliance. So it is an access point, so it isn't doing its own routing, so it can safely go behind, your customers or their end users' existing router that's been provided by their ISP and not worry about double natting issues. And then basically it gives them an SSID with two-factor authentication and proper encryption that basically allows them to access the corporate network wherever they've got that access point, probably their home, but anywhere that you need easy remote access back to the corporate network. So Zyxel's Nebula here also includes some artificial intelligence. or whatever the popular term is for that these days, that helps you out with a lot of things when it comes to your network. On the switch side of things, we can monitor IPTV streams and alert you to issues that we're seeing, as well as tell you what changes need to be made to help solve those issues. On the access point side of things, we can monitor the quality of client connections and automatically modify your access point settings to try to optimize to solve those issues that we see. And no, it's not just simply doing a quick channel scan. It's a lot more advanced going into that for you. And then on the security side of things, we partner with WebRoot and some other companies to provide artificial intelligence and sandboxing to help detect and push out, help detect zero-day threats and push out alerts when those threats are out there, saving you a lot of time between what's normally happens with traditional UTM security services. So with Nebula, right now we have over 130 different devices that you can use Nebula with. And so at this point, it's basically any of our managed switches, any of our access points, any of our security appliances, they can all be managed in Nebula. Now, the key thing with this is you don't have to use Nebula. Nebula is something that's optional for you. So basically all of our products today are what we call NebulaFlex. And what that means is out of the box, the devices are designed to be managed the traditional way, right? You go to the IP address of the device, you log in, there's a web GUI, or maybe for those of you that like scripting, you SSH into the device and you've got scripts or you just manually type in commands. That's available on all of these products. But if you do want to manage it in the cloud, it's really easy to do. Again, you just scan that QR code, assign the device to a customer of yours and to a site underneath that customer. And the device will automatically detect that you now want to manage it in the cloud, and it will reboot into cloud mode and download the configuration from the cloud. If at any point you decide that you don't want it in the cloud anymore, maybe you're pulling it out to do some troubleshooting, maybe you're upgrading your customer's wireless network, so you're taking out their old APs and you'll reuse those at another customer that doesn't need the latest and greatest. You simply go into Nebula, remove the device from your inventory. It will automatically go back into standalone mode and default itself to a default configuration. So really easy to go back and forth. And this also means you can standardize on certain SKUs and use them whether or not your customer is going to be using cloud management or direct management. So let's talk a little bit about licenses, because that's probably one of the most common questions we get with it. So the base version of Nebula is free, and we call it base. So that's the default that you get with Nebula products, is it's operating in the free mode. So let's talk about limitations on free mode. There is no limit to the number of customers you can manage in Nebula. The free version. There's no limit to the number of sites you can manage in the free version of Nebula. There is no limit to the number of devices you can manage in the free version of Nebula. So I know that puts us apart from most of our competition. Most of our competition these days requires some form of license to use their cloud management platform, assuming it's a true cloud management. And oftentimes, if they do have a free tier still, it's heavily limited to just one or two customers, or maybe a certain number of devices. Not the case with us. In fact, most of our customers are using this free version of Nebula, and we encourage you to give it a try. Now, we do offer what are called Plus and Pro licenses. And these are licenses that offer and unlock some additional features. For the most part, these are management and troubleshooting type features. These are things like automatic email reports, push notifications when a device goes offline, unlocking additional admin accounts on a per customer basis, things like that. And those are done on what we call an org basis, and I'll explain what that is in just a second. So if you do want to use Plus or Pro Pack to unlock some of these additional features, very easy to do, and you do it on an org basis. We also have a user license for admin accounts called an MSP license, and it unlocks additional features for those of you that are a medium to larger MSP that you'd probably be interested in. So the ability to change configurations across different organizations simultaneously, the ability to clone from one org to over to another org, and probably one of the handiest features is the ability to create admin teams. So instead of needing to manually add, users to and from specific customers, you can create teams and then just add and remove admins from those teams, dramatically simplifying the process if you've got a large number of admin users. So the way Nebula is structured is there is an account owner who owns the organization, usually whoever creates the organization in it, and then you'll have organizations. So organizations are usually going to be your customers. So generally, each of your customers will be their own organization, and then under that organization, you will have as many sites as you want. So again, even with the free version of Nebula, you have an unlimited number of organizations, an unlimited number of sites that you can manage. All of these sites by default will be using the free version of Nebula. And if you do want to convert a site over and unlock some of those Pro Pack features, you will then need to buy licenses for every device that's in that organization and in that organization only, right? So that's why each customer you're going to want to be their own org. Not only does it simplify management security issues, but it also means that if you do need to upgrade and unlock some additional features, you don't have to do it for all of your customers and all of the devices you manage. You just need to do it for the customer that needs those features. So let's talk quickly about pricing because we get that a lot. So Nebula Pro Pack is going to run you about $30 per device per year. So it's very affordable, especially compared to some of the other solutions that are out there in the market. And then again, the MSP license itself is an admin user license. And so basically it works for that admin user, regardless of which or how many sites or orgs that they're managing. Those features get unlocked across all of them for that user. And with that, we've hit the 16-minute mark, so I think I'm out of time. So we'll go ahead and open it up to any questions that people may have when it comes to Nebula and managing your devices.
Thank you so much, Sean, for that presentation. We enjoyed it very much. And it looks like I do got some questions from the audience. Let's get started with the first one. Here we go. Can you tell us what encryption or authentication mechanisms secure the link between managed devices and Nebula Cloud?
Sure, let's talk about that real quick. Let me actually, let's see if I can grab a slide deck here that actually has that. Give me just a second. Shoot, I'm not going to be able to share it easily. Actually, yeah, I don't think I will because of the way I did the sharing. So never mind. But anyway, I'll answer the question. I won't be able to put the slide up though. But basically, instead of doing our own in-house, super secret way of handling the communication, we use an industry standard called NetConf, NetConf. So that's what handles the communication back from our the remote units themselves. So the switches, the access points, et cetera, to our cloud. It's all based on the industry standard NetConf protocol.
Thank you so much, Sean. Next question here for you. How does Nebula support zero-touch provisioning or plug-and-play device onboarding?
Yeah, so again, all you need to do is scan that QR code, assign the device to a customer, and assign it to a site. And once you've done that, the device will automatically go into Nebula mode. So when you're going on site, all you need to do is plug in the device as long as it's got power and it's got an internet connection. It will go out to the cloud. It will check to see if you want to manage it in the cloud, and if you do, it will put itself into cloud mode. So yeah, that's all there is to it. It's all zero touch. The only time you would need to go in and do anything on the device itself to manage it in Nebula is if you're installing it at a location that requires you manually enter in a fixed IP address. Now, our suggestion to make this as simple as possible is at least temporarily set the network to use DHCP, let it connect to the Nebula cloud, and then through Nebula assign it a fixed IP address, and then you can always put your network back into the standard, fixed IP mode. But if for some reason you can't do that, you would have to log into the device and give it an IP address. But that's the only time you would need to go into the device itself to use it with Nebula.
Thank you so much for that, Sean. Next question here for you. How do you handle backward compatibility with legacy Zyxel devices or non-Nebula models, or non-Nebula modes, rather?
Sure. So Nebula is for managing Nebula compatible devices. So it has to be a Nebula compatible device to manage it in Nebula. So that just means any device that isn't Nebula, whether it's another vendor's product or whether it's an older product that doesn't support Nebula, those you would just still manage the way you're managing them today. So you would use whatever piece of software you're using today, or you would just go directly to the device to the IP address, just like you're doing today. So the entire network doesn't need to be Nebula. You can just do access points, you can just do switches, you can just do whatever you want. It's just Nebula itself isn't going to allow you to manage those devices through the Nebula interface. But you will be able to, if you're using ProPack, where we have an automatic topology view where we'll map out which devices are on the network and how they're connected to each other, we'll still be able to do that. You just won't have the ability to click on the device and go into its configuration page.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sean. Next question here. How do you see the role of cloud-managed networking evolving over, say, the next 5 years?
I mean, I think the way we're going, it's pretty much going to be the default in the future. I think it's just so convenient for most people to do. It is such a big time saver. So I think the only thing you're going to see is it's going to get more complex. That's been one of the both pros of cloud management, and one of the cons has been that cloud management has been focused on making it easy, giving you a nice, simplified, easy to use interface. And that's been one of the big criticisms, however, has been for those of you that are advanced users, is that certain features have been missing from the cloud interfaces because they've made it simpler, because it needs to be done in the web. Instead of a command line interface. So I think one of the things you're seeing now is going to be a lot more of what I'm going to call sort of a hybrid mode, where cloud is your primary management way of doing things. But you're going to still have access to a command line interface, through SSH or through tunneling through the cloud, where you can do those more automated type, where you can do those more advanced configurations, and you can use scripting and stuff like that to automate some of that type of stuff. So basically, the cloud management has gone from easy and quick to use to something that's going to be easy and quick to use, but still offer the more advanced configuration options. I know, like on our USG Flex H series, that's something that's we're rolling out with those right now, and I expect we'll see something similar over the coming years with other types of products other than just the security products. Because there are advanced users out there. There are weird advanced applications that you don't run into often, but the customers need it, and you need a way to be able to do it, and you don't want to have to, take the whole network out of the cloud just because you've got one weird use case that the cloud management platform isn't able to handle directly.
Thank you so much for that, Sean. Couple more questions here for you. Next one says, what's the most underestimated strength or advantage of Nebula?
Well, let me think about that. That's an unusual question.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm going to say here is when it comes to licensing, if you are doing licenses for some of your customers, we have the ability with Nebula to sort of automate the licensing system there for you. So instead of needing to go in and figure out how many devices you have and how many licenses you need and when they all expire, you can simply go in through the Nebula interface through our Circle platform, and you can basically set it up to automatically sort of do an aggregated billing, where it will just bill you based on what you've used that month. So you're not having to keep an eye on things like expiration dates. You're not having to worry about needing to apply and assign licenses. And that, I think, is a huge time saver for a lot of people. And it's something we've been doing for at least a little while now, and a lot of people I don't think are aware of it, or just how convenient it ends up being. So that way it just saves you a lot of time and effort. I think that's probably the biggest complaint if you're not using exclusively the free version of Nebula, is just license management when you've got hundreds or thousands of devices out in the field. So that's something that I think really makes things really convenient for a lot of people.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sean. Couple more questions here still for you. Next one says, what's the biggest challenge you anticipate in rolling out Nebula, perhaps globally?
Nebula is already a global solution. So that is one of the nice things about it is we use Amazon AWS. So we've already distributed the servers that maintain and run the cloud portion of Nebula through AWS. So those are global. And because we are a global company, I think we're operating in 150 different global markets, and Nebula is available in all of them. Each different country or region has all different rules as far as privacy rights, security, things like that. So we are compliant with all of those. So, if you're here in the United States, we are fully compliant with PCI and HIPAA, so you can use this, whether you're doing commerce and credit card processing, you can use this in healthcare applications, not an issue there. If you go overseas to Europe, there's GDRP, which is focused on privacy and customer rights and data retention and things like that. So we're fully compliant there. And like one of the things that they require is the data that is stored from European users has to stay in Europe. So we have the ability to do that because we have that global infrastructure. We're able to see the devices being used in Europe, and we'll make sure the data stays in Europe and that we're complying with all the GDPR rules. And there's a bunch of other rules that are out there in different countries and stuff. So if we're selling Zyxel products officially in that country and offering Nebula, we're already compliant with whatever the local rules are that we need to be compliant with.
Thank you so much. Last question here for you, Sean. What is your current vision for Nebula over the next 2 to 3 years, such as perhaps new models, deeper AI, etc.?
AI is a big thing, right? So we've got AI on the wireless side. We've got some basic AI on the switches. We've got that sandboxing, which is a really advanced AI application on the security side of things. And I would assume you will see that start to branch out and give it more and more power to automatically make configuration changes for people. We're already using AI in the Nebula chatbot. So if you're looking for help on things in Nebula, there's an AI chatbot. The answers aren't always the best still, but it is something that's improving, but it's also a great way of basically searching and finding the proper documentation you need. I have found it to be a great tool there. You search for something, and not only does it give you its answer, it gives you links directly to the support documents themselves. So I find that's a great way to find the support documents and links directly to what it is I'm trying to learn more. I'm trying to set up DPPSK. How do I do that? Type that into chat, and I skip the chat's answer, and I just go to the links at the bottom, and it'll take me right to the correct support note or the right page in the user guide to explain it to me. So yeah, I see a lot more automation coming in the future, especially when it comes to just maintaining things. And there's a lot of issues out there that I'm sure your customers call you about that are really minor tweaks that you need to make. And I think that's something that AI is going to help a lot with, just being able to automatically do that for you as people get more comfortable with giving up that level of control, or at least automating some processes of that. So I see a lot more of that in the future. I also could see it also helping you just with network design in general. Here's my customer. You could put in what they are. They're in healthcare. It's a doctor's office. They need to be HIPAA compliant. This is their square footage, and I could easily see AI being able to spit out, a device list. Here's the devices you'll need. You'll need this many APs. You'll need this. You'll need this. And here's sort of a base configuration to make sure you're HIPAA compliant, having it automatically create different VLANs, different SSIDs, things like that. Yeah, AI is an interesting thing. I think right now a lot of the promises being made for it are overblown, but there's certainly a lot of potential there going forward as AI improves.
Sean, thank you so much for answering those questions for us today. And also thank you to everyone attending this webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please remember that this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so we could all view it again. Sean, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I will reach out so we can do this again in a couple of months and see how we're doing at that point in time. maybe even less than a couple of months, but I will definitely be here for you if you want to reach out for anything at all. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day.